Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Feeling Seen, the podcast that talks about the movies and the characters that make us feel seen. And my guest today is a polymath of the arts. You will see him soonest in the second season return of the hugely big hit successful show One Piece on Netflix, but you may also know him from his run on the Batwoman series where he played Batwing, or you might have seen him in The Electric State or appearances in television shows like The OA and Luke Cage. He is also a writer, director, and has directed the feature Real Love as well as numerous short films, as well as an episode of Batwoman. Camrus Johnson, what else do the people need to know about you before we get started?
Oh, my goodness. What a great intro.
Okay.
You know, I'm doing my thing. I also make music. I recently got back into it as of last year, and I have a new song coming out in March.
Oh.
It's the first of my new sound. So all the songs I've been releasing, I recorded 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. This is brand new, just written, just recorded. So it's like my current sound.
Okay.
So I'm hyped about that.
Now, where have you always been, like broadly across the arts? Is that, or like, did you kind of add yes and elements and mediums as you have gone through your life and career?
I've always been interested in many arts. I think I kind of found myself grabbing one and then picking up others along the way. Mm-hmm. So acting came first. I discovered my love for acting junior year of high school. And then I discovered my love for singing senior year of high school. And then when I moved to New York at 17, my plan was to do Broadway. I wanted to do musicals. Mm-hmm. But then I sort of just fell into on camera. Mainly because the audition lines for Broadway were very long, and on camera auditions were very short. And I was like, oh, I love this. Okay. So I found myself falling into that realm of things when it came to acting. And then along the way, there's so much empty space and time when you're acting that I just needed other things to fill the void. And so I got into writing, and I used to act to writing classes. So I learned how to write, and I would make time to record music when I would meet producers and record some music here and there. So then as time went on, I just found myself doing a little bit of all of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when did you, because you also, into your career, your short films start popping up in like your filmography.
Yeah.
When did you start feeling the pull toward directing and being really behind the scenes, the captain of the ship that is coming in?
That's a good question. That's hard to answer because my directing career happened by accident.
Oh.
I made my first short film in 2019. It's called Grab My Hand, A Letter to My Dad. Mm-hmm. And I made it for my dad. So it was to help him grieve the loss of his best friend. And the point of the film was just that. It was to make my dad cry. And then it was supposed to, not really be seen by the masses after that.
Oh.
But then I showed a couple friends, and then they all cried. And I said, oh, okay. So I put it in some film festivals. And then it just took the festival world by storm.
Wow.
Which then had, that led to Tribeca watching it and Tribeca asking if we could make a short film together. And then the crew of Batwoman ended up seeing the films, and it was their idea for me to direct an episode of the show.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's really satisfying.
It was really nice. Like, mainly the camera department, they kept pushing, like, you should try to get an episode of the show. And I was like, I'm not like a director though. Mm-hmm. So I asked Warner Brothers, and I was surprised when they were like, yeah.
Wow.
And then Greg Berlanti, our producer, said yeah, and our showrunner said yeah. And before you knew it, I was like a director. But I come from the ideology of like just saying yes.
Yeah.
And when I was in the festival world, one of the moderators of one of the festivals, I'll never forget, she was like, okay, so Camrus, so we just watched Grab My Hand. And our first question for you was, what is it like being the next black voice in animation?
Oh my God.
Oh.
Wow.
And I took a quick pause, and I was like, it's always been the goal.
Yeah.
It's always been the dream.
I could say if I had a trajectory,
that's
it was
the
that.
one.
Yeah.
So I just would go with it. When Tribeca said, let's do a short, and I said, cool. I'm on the show Batwoman. I have a cast. I have a crew. I have all these things at my disposal I could work with. They're like, no, we want to do another animated short with you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, so I'm the animation guy now. Cool.
Wow, okay.
Yes, I just said yes. I was like, I can figure out how to do another animated short. I barely knew how I did the first one.
Yeah.
I just was figuring it out. And I want to say to answer your question, the moment that I realized, I am a director was honestly on stage at Tribeca for my third short.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I remember I was there, looking at this crowd. My friends and my family were there, and we were on the big screen. And I was like, oh, wow. I think I had already had my episode of Batwoman locked to shoot that year.
Cool.
And I was like, okay, like now that I've done 3 shorts, like I did direct this, like I'm a director.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ever since then, I've really felt comfortable saying that I'm not just like an aspiring director, but this is what I also do.
Well, it's not animation, but with One Piece, it's based on a very popular manga.
Yeah.
Very popular. I became aware of how popular it was when I saw how successful the first season was on Netflix.
Yeah.
But it is very much for a live action show. It really doesn't look like anything else.
Right.
It is dropped into this sensational, I was describing it earlier as like Mother Goose's rock and rhyme level of sort of practical silliness.
Yeah.
And there is both sort of like this styling and bigness that feels like it appeals to sort of like a wide-eyed younger audience, but it's also like there is a part in the new season perhaps where there is a massive sword fight.
That's right.
And dozens of people are dispatched, kind of thing. So it's
So awesome.
Yeah,
by the way.
it's super cool. It's cool action.
Yeah.
So it's not like this isn't like a show after school show for children.
Right.
Either. I wanted to hear from you about, as the next Black voice in animation, talking about like just being within what looks like the bigness and the practical sets and the almost like cartoon come to life that they really seem to have made One Piece.
Yeah, I mean, I could, oh my gosh, I could fanboy about One Piece all day. I'm just so impressed. So to your point, like One Piece is the longest running manga and anime of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, it has been over 25 years, and it's been so fun to be a part of such a global phenomenon because, as an animation nerd, I am one of many that wasn't sure it was going to work. Like no one really thought One Piece was going to work as live action because how are you going to make that happen? Like,
right.
Like there's
and it doesn't feel conventionally brought to life as you're watching it. It feels like they kind of had to come up with something.
I agree.
To be like, okay, no, really, how are we going to crack this?
Well, I think like a lot of the love for the show goes to the special effects, the visual effects. Like the biggest question was how are you going to make his stretchiness look awesome and real, and they deliver that in the most beautiful way. But it's funny because there's all these other animes and animated projects that would seem to be easier to adapt into live action and that flop. And for One Piece to be something so challenging with all these funky, fun, strange, weird powers and characters and storylines, you would think that it shouldn't work. But I think what was so impressive from Netflix and Tomorrow Studios and the showrunners is they leaned into that.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes with adaptations,
it really does not feel like it's doing it in half measures.
Exactly. They were
really
like, this is a silly show. Let's get silly.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't feel like something was put in front of them. They were like, ooh, scale it back. We've got to ground this more.
Right. See, and that's the thing is they found a way to be like, the show is fun, make it fun. Like, why would you pull the fun away from it? Like, not only do they keep the fun, but they build on it. But like, there's that that fine line of they're still able to keep that groundedness, and like we're still crying when the beautiful moments from the anime happen, but we're having so much fun watching it. I've been so impressed with how they've done it. So I already forgot your question. I'm like fanboying about how impressive the season has been.
No, that's a great connected thread because that takes us very smoothly into talking about, well, you presented 2 character ideas for discussion today, and we're going to start with the television show one. Okay. Which is the animated series which started in 2000, an adaptation of the comic Static Shock.
That's right.
So tell me, obviously, animation, this has been in your bones for a very long time. Tell me about the experience of Static Shock. Were you watching it when it came out?
Yeah.
Or were you finding this like, okay, what was the otherwise entertainment landscape kind of like for you, what you were digging? And then what was this doing for you that was distinct?
I would say, so Static Shock, I grew up on that show on the WB. I think
the WB and the
CW.
CW.
Listen.
Man.
It's so cool that like I got to be on the CW for some years because the WB was my childhood. Like I was watching all those shows. And Static Shock, it was the first time I really felt seen because Virgil Hawkins, aka Static Shock, he was like this very cool nerd. Like it was very cool to see this black kid who was like also not good at talking to girls and a super nerd at school, but then behind the scenes he had this really cool persona. And I was like, so you can be both. Like how do I mix the two? I felt very powerful when I watched him because it was cool to see a superhero nerd that like was understood by his friends but misunderstood by the masses. And I also thought storytelling wise it was very impressive even as a young kid how in the first episode, the way that he got his powers was that there was a gang fight, a gang war, if you will. And he didn't want to be involved, but one of the gangs protected him. So he kind of almost felt like he had to show up with the gang. And then that gang fought another gang. And then this is, again, the first episode. There were police choppers that flew over and was like, break up the gang fight. Shot in like smoke bombs. And that blew up the chemicals that were nearby.
Called a classic toxic waste.
Toxic waste
superhero
situation.
origin story.
Got them all their powers. And I thought that storytelling was cool. I thought his character was so cool. I thought his relationship with his dad was so interesting. I loved that you got to see his best friend become a superhero with him. Everything about the show was just so inspiring and fun. And I felt very connected to it.
Anytime there's media that it like that threshold point before, like honestly, pre and post 9/11, where the toxicity of 2000s era pop culture follows after this period of it's come up a number of times on the show. There is a real Black film and creative bloom that is happening in the 1990s. There is a beautiful queer film explosion with new queer cinema that's happening. Independent film is the Sundance Film Festival is probably at the absolute height of its powers in the 1990s. And you have this project that comes in the year 2000 that is happening at a time when, like, there's also really good, it seems like, superhero animation that's happening at this time. I feel like Batman, I forget which iteration of Batman animation is happening, I feel like, around then, where it's
was it Batman Beyond at that time?
It's like, this is like the pinnacle of like Batman animation, like to kind of like to still beat all. And it feels like we're at this time of like wonderful intersectional creative output that is about to be just fucking obliterated by a rise to conservative politics and the Bush presidency and post 9/11 politics and hetero-nationalism. But this feels like it still slides in under the wire of this time where it was like, what if we're traveling this path through history before we realize we're going to hit the wrong fork in the road? Like, tell me about like your relationship with just like, what kind of stuff were you watching then as a kid? Like you're clearly you like animation and anime and perhaps comics. Like, are you feeling like there was a media diet for you at that time as a young person?
Oh man, I feel like, I would equally split with my brothers, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney. So I'm watching all of it. I'm watching That's a Raven. I'm watching True Jackson. I'm watching Wizards of Waverly Place. I'm also watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of the best animated series of all time. Literally, you name it, I was probably watching it. I was just consuming. And what's funny is when I got into animation and I made that for a short, actually I think it was the second animated short, She Dreams at Sunrise, and I went to this festival in New York. They asked me to speak on the animation forum. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about because I don't know what I'm doing here. I
cannot stress enough to you all how
I don't
little
know what I'm doing.
I know about what I'm doing.
So they were like, you can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I think my speech was called like, why not try or something? And the whole concept was basically saying yes, taking risks. And as I'm putting together my pitch, I didn't realize how much I knew about animation.
Oh wow!
I had no idea.
Isn't that a great moment?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, when you kind of get going on something, you're like, wait a minute.
Like I'm a master at this. I think. I had no idea.
Here's my master class.
I watched so much animation growing up that I knew I had so much to pull from and all these examples, and I started to realize that as a person and as an artist, most of my creativity and influences come from animation. I didn't know. I just I'd watched so much of it, and even to this day, I feel like I reference SpongeBob and Static and all these things all the time because even though we're so used to the word cartoon, that separates what that story is to us. Like it makes it feel like this young, almost mediocre, less important form of storytelling. When in reality, the most adult, the most grounded conversations and messages come through animation because it's hiding medicine in orange juice. You don't know that it's there. Again, the first episode of Static I explained. There's another episode of Static Shock, the WB animated series about a school shooting.
Yeah.
There's some real dark, interesting, feet in the dirt type episodes, but you don't remember that because it's about a funny black kid flying around with electricity powers, which is amazing. So I think back then I I was kind of absorbing everything, and a lot of comedy. Like I think all the funniest things that I could find in the kid shows back then, I was absorbing with my brothers. And That's a Raven. I'll mention again is that's like a lot of the comedy that me and my brother have. Like her quick wittedness. Raven Simone was just so funny to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were kind of trying to absorb as much as we could. And at the time, I wasn't like big on music. I didn't love music at all. I don't know why. Maybe it was like a rebellious thing against my older brother because he loved it and I didn't. But I was always
that's not my
watching
thing.
TV. Yeah, that's your thing.
Yeah.
But I watched TV like constantly. Yeah.
Well, that's something that's come up on the show too before. Like we've had, it's kind of baked into the premise is we really try to avoid people picking a character that they have played. It has happened, certainly, but it's like, well, yes, you would see yourself in a place where you literally exist,
right?
But with something, there have been multiple times in both of the episodes that involve Moana. The property, one of them was Auli'i Carvalho.
I love her.
And she chose Moana because she literally had not seen a Hawaiian girl like herself, loved to sit, like, and grew up in she hadn't seen it somewhere. And animation is something that was so important to her in that conversation because there was a limitlessness to animation. There was a lack of categorical boxing within animation and a creativity where if she didn't see herself places, she could find herself in something with as much creative possibility as animation.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe the most beautiful thing about the animated space is there are no limits. And when you see yourself in that space, you think that the world is limitless for you, which is so powerful. And I think for Static, like I felt like the show could have never ended for me because there were so many possibilities. And to go to Black Panther as well, it's that same thing of seeing someone in not just animation but in the superhero space. Yeah. Like this guy is doing things that feel impossible, but if I'm seeing it with my own eyes, they're possible. You know. Also, shout out to Auli'i. I haven't seen you in years. That's my homie. I love her. She's the best. That's
one of my favorite conversations we've ever gotten to have on the show. It was really beautiful. Really beautiful.
She rules.
But no, please, I don't want to cut you off.
No, please, yeah. But no, I think putting characters in spaces that feel expansive, I think does so much for the human psyche. Because when you see yourself in all these very specific, stereotypical characters and storylines, it's not even just for you, it's really for the masses. They start to only think that you can do so many things.
Yeah.
You can only be in so many places. And if they see you in a story that has no roof, has no ceiling, it almost feels like, okay, well, I don't even know how far you can go. And that breeds new opportunities and new ideas. And I think for Static, getting to see a world where every episode had a new villain and a new thing, and Static's coming up with new ideas to defeat new villains, like you get to see him constantly grow and shift and change in a very strange and interesting and colorful world. I hope that we can continue to have more of that. That can keep shaping our minds and our thoughts on how we can, I guess, grow as artists of color, et cetera. I don't want to, start to ramble too long.
Well, speaking of, like you said, like issues, I definitely, like, in going through, like, episodes of the show and going through season 1 before our conversation, there is an episode where the motivating, like, conflict is they're fighting a giant slime monster that's chasing them through the school. But the underpinning plot of the episode is that the funding for the journalism program in the high school has been cut.
You know what I'm saying?
And I was like, boy, if you couldn't give me a more agonizing rip from the headlines. I was like, oh, wow, so we've been trying to take journalism away from the people even before the financial crash that reorganized the industry. Okay. Okay. Yeah, a likely story. Get out there, Frida, report. So yeah, no, it's grounded in our reality. And even, like, I think one of the first lines that Static has, actually, in the very first episode is he's antagonizing some bad guys that he's fighting. And one of them yells something at him and he corrects them in, like, the way that they use the term. And he's like, if you're going to use slang, use it right. I was like, just people abusing black slang in pop culture yet again.
Yep.
The tale is as old as time.
And it's just, again, it's so funny because he can say things like that, and as a kid, it'll go right over your head.
Yeah.
But he's saying some real stuff in this show. Like, there's a reason that we, as, like, black nerds in the black community, we've been asking for Static to come back for a long time. We are dying.
Digging into my research about the show, like, that was the refrain that was really, like, this meant something unique and specific when it came out.
Yeah.
And I don't have an analog for it since it left.
No.
So like fucking bring it back. Like this is a WB like why isn't this on Max? Like where is this? I think it's actually coming to Tubi, guys.
It is.
It
is.
I saw an announcement just from like a couple days ago that the show is going to be arriving on Tubi, so it will be more freely available.
Thank God. It's funny. I just rewatched it a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
I had found it online somewhere random, and I watched the whole first season. I cannot get enough of that show, and I cannot wait to see either they like do a spinoff of it or a live action adaptation of it. I remember pitching Warner Brothers a spinoff of it years ago, and I loved it. So I don't know what their plans are for the show in the future, but hopefully something can come out of it because we need more static.
Well, as you mentioned, Black Panther as well. That was the second character that you brought up as a suggestion, and so I wanted to ask just very broadly, like, what it seems kind of self-evident, but also, why superheroes?
Oh, that's a good question.
Why? What is the superhero connection for you?
Having
played one,
I have played one and a villain now. It's interesting because when I sent those, I was like, I thought it was kind of funny that both of my answers were superheroes. I didn't realize how much I connected to superheroes.
Right.
I think it's what we said before. It's the expansiveness of it all. I remember being in New York many years ago. I was with a group of friends. We were walking down the street heading somewhere, and a friend's friend was with the group for the first time, and she was just like looking at me oddly. I forgot where she was from. She was from a country far, far away, and she was looking at me, and I was like, "Hey, can I ask why you're staring at me?" And she was like, "I'm so sorry. It's just where I'm from. Like, we don't have any black people where we're from, and the only black people that we see are in TV and movies, and they're usually like gangsters and thugs and stuff."
Sure.
And she said, then I moved to America, and the first place I moved to was the hood of Chicago.
Oh.
And I was like, just like the movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
So you're the first black person I've met that doesn't talk like them or feel like them.
Sure.
And she was like, I just need to know, like, what's going on. And I was like, right. So there's black people of all different types.
Yeah.
We have lawyers and
Just like I'm sure
scientists.
whatever you are, there are all different types of you.
And I think that's why black superheroes mean so much to me, because for many people in the world, they see them and they go, one, that's not possible.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And two, oh, that's possible. And I don't know, what is more inspiring than someone who saves the world, And I don't know that I almost can't put it into words, but I think superheroes teach me how to keep positivity, how the good guy always wins in the end. I think they show me that the world always feels like one thing until you introduce something that is not understood, and that misunderstood being or concept can really flip the world upside down and make things better, make things more equal, make things more accepting. Yeah, I think when it comes to seeing myself, I am mostly interested in seeing black characters in worlds that don't exist yet.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see the black version of Star Wars, the black version of Game of Thrones, like these larger than life spaces. And I think any story is important, but for me, it's when you get to see the walls of the box and then just completely break through them and realize there's a whole other world outside of this box that black people just haven't had a chance to explore yet. How many boxes are there?
Yeah.
Is it light? Is it dark? What's going on? And how do we adapt to those worlds? So maybe that's why I relate to superheroes so much.
Could you is there with the hindsight of it, like you're watching Static Shock when you're younger and you're feeling like kind of lit up by this character, and then you're an adult and you're also in the entertainment industry and you see Black Panther as a grown man.
Yeah.
How do superheroes feel differently with more time and knowledge when you take them in?
That's a really great question. As a kid, superheroes showed me what I could be. And maybe as an adult, they show me who I am, who I've grown to be. Yeah. I think, they were role models for me for a long time. And then seeing Black Panther as an adult showed me how to be a role model. Yeah. I feel very honored to be able to play Batwing because I've met so many young black kids and they see me as a superhero. And I can now be part of the story for them of, when I was this age, I then began to see that the world was expansive and welcoming for me. So yeah, I guess that's how. I guess like now as an adult, when I see them, I just get new ways of teaching the younger people how to see themselves.
And is that something? Did you like feel at a certain point you started becoming conscious of like your role in like put it like a hand back and a hand up kind of figure? Like, oh shit, I like. People are looking at me now the way I was looking at somebody else when I was little.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say for Batwoman, maybe around season 2, like halfway through. Nah, maybe season 3, season 2, season 3. I started to realize to this day that almost every single time I get recognized, it's by a black man between ages 30 to 55.
Really?
Yeah, almost every single time. It happened a couple weeks ago. It's like this very specific demographic. And when they say something to me, there's this certain level of like, it's less of them saying like, oh my gosh, I love the show.
Yeah.
It's more so of them saying like, thank you.
Wow.
You're like, thank you for this part. Thank you for how you portrayed it, which has been, I got like chills. It is so special to me, because you can see it in their eyes of like, every time I see this character, it reminds me that we exist, that we get to be in these spaces. So like, thank you for holding the mantle. And that's what I wish I could have told Chadwick Boseman if I ever got a chance to meet him. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like these roles hold so much more weight than people realize.
Right.
And Chadwick is not just a superhero. Like, he is an idol to so many of us. And like, what he did was not only portray this character, but portray him with grace and power, and to be able to go through the industry and only hear great stories about him.
Yeah.
It really
like, feels like he's one of where like in memorializing and the tributes, it was like, God, the things people have to say, about with the recent passing of Catherine O'Hara and Diane Keaton before that, and it reminded me when Bill Paxton passed, like terribly young, but like you hear these tributes and people, and you get to realize a cadence of what happens when people pass away. Who've meant a lot to a lot of people, to the point where when it kind of goes beyond that to this like extraordinary level of regard and love for these people. There is a different tier, and that was one when Chadwick Boseman passed. It felt like a different threshold was passed.
It was a deeper thing
of a kind of expression for him.
Yeah, because I think it's Hollywood's very interesting. I think a lot of, and I'm not blaming actors. I'm not blaming anyone, but a lot of actors can fall into the trap of adoration and love, and
it's hard to. It's kind of a thing where it seems like unless you're actively, really kind of girding yourself against it, the default is to kind of slip into the stream,
slip right into it. And I hate. I'm not gonna say I get it, because I don't get it, but I try my best to understand it. Of like, your own set, and you sit down and people are feeding you, and people are holding umbrellas for you, and people are tying your shoes
people
if you can't
exist to keep you from ever feeling discomfort.
Exactly. And that's crazy to me. And like, I did background work for 3 years back in the day. I was a PA. I did all of it. So I've been able to experience every level on the way up. Like, I did the 1 line, the 2 line, the guest star, the co-star, the lead, the support. I've done it. So like, I'm often not comfortable on set. Like, I can hold my own umbrella. I get it. I don't want you to get in trouble, but this is weird. My hands are free. I can hold it. I
can do it.
I can do it. And I think, I hope and pray that more and more and more actors begin to realize one reason that we celebrate Chadwick so much is not just because of his work, but because of his heart, because of who he is. And all these like rumors of actors that are being difficult and like and beginning to see themselves as larger than life and better than others, that is not why we're doing this. Like, we're doing this to make others feel seen and warm and held and understood and protected, and and that's, I think, hopefully where the Batwing fans' thank yous come from. Is like, I hope that I hold these roles with some sort of grace, because I feel so lucky to be where I am, and I feel like every job could be my last job. So I want to make sure that every job is fun and I appreciate it and I have the best time, because you never know.
Well, that and this is. It was one of the most perfect anecdotes I feel like I've ever read in a celebrity profile. The fallen from grace, huge shaper of 21st century nerd culture himself, Joss Whedon, in a sort of looking back profile that New York Magazine did of him a number of years ago. I don't have any regard for that man, but there was a part in it where he talked about when he felt it change, felt himself change, which is he talked about he would walk to the studio, walk to the office, and make his regular daily commute and the routine of that. And he remembers the day that he got caught off guard by the door not opening for him.
Interesting.
Because he had gotten just for some, there wasn't somebody with him or somebody wasn't picking it or something.
Wow.
But he had gotten so used to, at that point, there are a couple seasons into the sensation that is Buffy at that point. And he was walking up to the building and the door literally did not open for him before he had to touch it. And he almost walked into it. He talked about, because he had to stop himself short because he had developed the motor expectation, in his physical body, that a door, God, literally, physically, metaphorically, would open before him.
Yeah.
And
that's
feels
wild.
That is one of the best microcosmic encapsulations I feel like I've ever heard of that feeling being described.
Wow. Yeah, and to your point, because you mentioned not too long ago that it is you're constantly working toward making sure that you stay grounded.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe oftentimes I don't feel that it's work because I'm very blessed to have a giant family and a giant friend group. And I have all these people that if I were ever to even come close, I'd get humbled real quick, real fast. But it is interesting because it is a trap. You're on set and you just see actors getting treated like royalty. And I get it. Everyone wants the actors to be happy, but you get your own food. Use your hands and pick up that plate, Yeah, it's interesting. It's sometimes fun to sit back on set and just watch, just to see how people are starting to shift a bit on set because it is a strange place. But I have so much fun with it because I think this is the last thing I'll say about it. I think more actors need to become friends with the crew.
Yeah.
I think
everyone be friends with the crew.
You have to be friends with the crew. You can't go to set and see the acting circle be separate than anybody else. It is all one thing. And I think oftentimes the reason I have so much fun on set is because I'm behind the camera. I'm at Video Village. What do you do here?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, and I feel like even on One Piece, I had a party once with just the crew members. It was
cool.
just me and the crew because I love my crew members, especially on One Piece. They're so talented and they're so cool. But I think it's important to remember that our job is no more important than anybody else's. None of this works unless everybody is putting their all in. And while we're the ones that our faces and our names are known, we have to be with the folks that are making sure that we look and sound and feel great on camera. So yeah, hopefully actors can start to connect with everybody moving forward.
Well, and like you said, having gone through all those jobs on set, and getting to the point where you are now, what is your sort of ethos when you are directing? When you are the guiding force? Really, if you've ever been on a set where the vibe is bad and leadership is not good, it's true. The fish rots from the head situation.
Yes, it does.
Even if everybody's been having a good day, if that person at the top and that tone setter is having a bad one, it is shocking.
Oh yeah,
how quickly it deteriorates.
It shifts quickly. It's the same with the leads.
You think that
too.
People could maybe buffer against it, but it is actually unbelievable how quickly everybody starts suffering.
It's fascinating. As soon as the lead of the project or the director panics, everybody panics.
Yes.
As soon as they laugh, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
It is so interesting. And I, thankfully, because I've been acting for so long, I've been able to see that up close in so many different ways. But also my mentor, Carl Seaton, I got to shadow him on Batwoman and watch him work, I think on 2 or 3 episodes. And I learned a lot from him. And we also have very similar mindsets when it comes to directing. So one thing that I do and learn from him is I'm always an hour early. I think for directors, that's really odd because when you get there, there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
A lot of the trucks are still pulling in. A lot of the crew's not there yet. But what happens is the crew members see you and go, oh, okay, you're serious about this.
Yeah.
And also, there's so many things that happen on set. If you're there an hour early, some crew members are like, oh, I can ask you a question now before things get crazy.
Yeah.
So when the day starts, a lot of the hard stuff I answered an hour before we shot. because we'd had all this early conversations. But what also helps with that is I'm just talking to my crew. I'm like becoming friends with them. Like we're not just coworkers. We need to be buddies.
Yeah.
And my main mentality as the director is I'm big on collaboration. Mm-hmm. I think the number one job as a director is to choose a really great team. I should be surrounded by people that are so much better at their jobs than I am. I just need to put everybody on one ship.
I think really great directors feel that way.
Yeah.
I think really great directors feel that way.
I thank you. I agree. I think, I need...
And I think, honestly, if you make a great movie and you don't feel that way, you're not a great director.
Amen.
I think you're a dick in charge.
I like that.
I don't think you're a great director, though.
No, I agree. I think, there's no room for ego as a director. I think I need to make sure that my production designer, my DP, my AD, everybody is, top of their game. Uh-huh. And I don't want to feel intimidated. I just want to be I know that you're the best at what you do.
Yeah.
So I need everyone's best ideas. What I'm really good at as a director is I can sift through everyone's ideas and choose the one that works the best for this story and this project. Mm-hmm. But I need everyone to be willing, open, and comfortable to share their ideas. Because there are times that the PA's idea wins, and that's okay. I need everyone to know that this is not just my film. That we're all on this film. When the film comes out, I want everybody to feel happy and proud of it. And part of that is the second AD had an idea that I pitched to the DP that he liked, and then we shot it. Yeah. So I think, my mentality is showing up early, talking to everyone. That's a big one. When I go around set, I have to make sure that I talk to everybody. Because as an actor, I've learned on certain sets, talking to the actors is against the rules.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I get it. Some actors are heady.
There is a kind of enforcement of compartmentalization that absolutely comes up frequently.
And I get it because some actors, every actor has a different process. It's not my process, but some actors are like, I can't be talking. I need to be in character. Yeah. I get it. But as an actor and filmmaker myself, I'm like, I would rather go around and talk to everyone because I can flip the switch. I can turn the character on right when you say action. I can turn it back off after you say cut. I'm cool with that. So I'm spending my time going around and hearing everyone, making sure everyone's good, making sure there's nothing missed. What I don't want is there's a problem that people don't want to bother me with, and I hear about it when it becomes a bigger problem. Tell me now. Let's figure it out early. So yeah, I think open communication, talking to as many people as I can, as often as I can, learning as many names as I can. I know I'm not good with names, so I'm trying. I try my best, and that's partially because I'm not blaming my parents, but my grandpa's one of 18 kids. My grandma's one of 7. My other granny's one of 5, and my other grandpa's one of 7 or something.
Oh my God!
So I grew up with so many cousins that they'd be like, "Oh, this is your cousin so and so," and I go, "Great." I'm not gonna remember that.
That's my cousin.
I'm never gonna see you again. I have hundreds of cousins, so I try when I'm on set to be okay, remember her name, say it again. But I'm also not afraid to be on day 3, hey, give me your name one more time. I know your job and I love you and I know your brother is an artist and you told me all this stuff about your life. What's your name again?
Yeah.
Because everyone likes hearing their names. And I also want to add a label thing in the future. I want every crew member. I want to say everyone's names all the time. But yeah, I think creating a family on set is the most important thing as a director.
What is I would say because I feel the contrasts are obvious between something at a scale, what I would assume One Piece is.
Yeah.
And then working on, you said, you're going on to an independent film after this.
Yeah.
How do you, because it's making an indie film, making an indie project, say it's a small town, and then making a huge project is like being in a big city.
Yeah.
How do you make a big city a small town?
Ooh, that's a great question. I like that. How do you make a big city a small town? You know what's funny about that? When I was shadowing the Russo brothers on Electric State, I was talking to them about indie film.
God, talk about big.
Oh my goodness. Jesus. And that budget was gigantic, and it was such a great project to shadow on because there were literally people in motion capture suits walking around being robots, and it was crazy. So I was talking to them about indie, and I forget which of the brothers said so, but he was like, "Man, I kind of miss indie filmmaking," because he said we're working on projects that are so big. We have crew members that we don't meet.
Yeah.
And I
by
think,
no fault of their own.
By no fault of their own. No, it's just so massive you can't meet everybody.
Yeah.
So he said on Electric State they had an ant wrangler because they had to get a shot of some ants. And
the height of luxury.
Listen,
an ant wrangler.
And he was like, I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. So I think and they're also really good at this too. I think they're a great example of this question of how to make something big feel like a small town. I think it's really about communication again. I think it's about like talking to the crew, being present, being open to questions. But also for me, I'm big on gifts. Like on Batwoman, I think I had a crepe truck, a coffee truck, some like ice cream or some kind of truck.
I just was listening to a podcast with Kumail Nanjiani and Hassan Minaj. And Hassan was, I think, a producer on something recently. And he said to Kumail in the conversation, he was like, I did what you said, because Kumail's a director as well.
Yeah.
He's like, I did what you said. Every Friday, ice cream.
Yeah.
And Kumail was like, yeah, treat truck. He's like, not coffee, because a coffee truck makes people feel like they need to work harder.
Ah, interesting.
Not like, okay,
coffee
lock
trucks
in, coffee
only
truck.
for overnights.
Overnight
shoots.
yes.
Yeah.
I hear that. But he was like, ice cream, donuts, like treat truck,
Yeah.
something, just to make sure people feel good.
It means the world. I mean, the thing is, like, a coffee truck is not gonna break the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it means so much to everyone, because it's like, I'm not, giving you the world.
Yeah.
But I do want to thank you for how hard you're working, and thank you for trusting me and being here with me. And even on One Piece, like, because I'm a director now, I just can't help it. I can't help myself. And I think what happened, I came to set one day, and I think I brought a box of donuts or something, like, to the makeup trailer. I think that's what happened. I think I brought a box of donuts, and someone made a joke of like, dang, I want donuts. And I said, okay. And I gave my card to one of the makeup assistants, and I was like, just go get like 10 boxes of donuts. And we just walked around One Piece, Whiskey Peak, and we're just giving donuts around. And it was so fun, because it's like everyone got so happy. And what was funny about that is like, this is not my episode. I'm not directing. I'm not even the lead of the show. I'm just here. But like to see the crew like light up and be like, oh my gosh, like not only is this going to make the day so much easier, but it's going to make the day so much more memorable.
Yeah.
Like, that's the donut day, you know? That's the donut day. So I think gifts go a long way. And even on Batwoman, not only did I give that for the whole crew, but I got little figurines made of the cast.
Oh wow!
I went all in. I won't lie to you. I was so excited for my episode. So I had like little like bobblehead like chest figurines, 3D printed for a women character. Nice. Yeah, I didn't make a dime on that episode. I spent all my money on gifts. But yeah, it goes a long way to show your team how much you appreciate them. I also want to be like Ryan Coogler in the future, where I have and the Russo brothers, where I have crew and cast that I'm just bringing back and back and back, because I want them to be like, oh, when I work with Camrus, I have a good time, and then the project comes out and it's a project I'm proud of. Yeah.
Well, that and one of I feel we're moving toward our wrap up phase. So,
of the interview?
I know.
That was so fast.
I'm having
so
such a nice time.
Double it. 2-hour interview.
Double it down. And then I guess like something I like kind of pulling together in my head in these last bit is like taking that like the freedom and expansiveness of animation and then like linking Static Shock and Black Panther, obviously, through like both of these are superheroes, and with your current like the bigness of One Piece and the imagination that you see on screen in that, where like you said, they saw the sort of surreal hugeness of this and they were like, do it, like bring it all in, like we're not doing a grounded One Piece, like take the page and put it on the screen. I wanted to hear what being like aspiring toward certain things and connecting with these larger than life like superhero characters, and then being in something that is so much bigger than life with One Piece at the moment. Where are you feeling like, what does that create for you in terms of like possibility models for your own expansiveness? How expansive are you feeling now?
I'm feeling extremely expansive. I'm feeling as stretchy as Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece. I think being in a show like this, it really has made me feel like anything's possible. Going from, the first short that I made for $150.
Wow.
To this show, which is all the millions.
Yeah.
I truly do feel like I have seen what it's like to be at 0 and what it's like to be at 100.
Yeah.
And I just feel like anything's possible at this point. I mean, I know for an actor, we all want to play villains. The fact that I've gotten to play
I love hearing that because
it's so
they're
fun.
the most fun for us to watch.
They're so fun to play
yeah.
too. And to be able to already have played a superhero and a villain at this point in my career, now it's just like, okay, now what's next? Like there's so many things that I feel like I get to now check off the list because those two big things are now checked off. I feel very blessed. I feel very lucky. I don't know what's to come. The movie I'm about to do next is horror, which is a new genre for me.
Yes. We love to hear that on Feeling Seen. Yes.
Finally doing horror.
Yes.
So now I just feel like now, like how crazy is that after the giant show of my first villain comes out, I'm then leaving to go do my first horror movie.
Yeah.
So what comes after that? I feel like literally anything can come and all of it's going to come. There's times in your career as an artist where you don't know if you're going to get the opportunities that you want.
Yeah.
And I feel
is this job my last job?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And hey, you never know. But at this point, I feel so confident to say that I only see more and more great, new, daring, bold, interesting, challenging things coming my way. I can only hope that I get to be challenged over and over and over again. Like I've had so much fun. I've been so lucky to have a blast on these projects. Like, I was on One Piece working, but I was also on 4 safaris. You know what I'm saying? Like I was having a blast. So I think it's exciting for me to think of what jobs are on the way that are going to make me lock in even more than I already do.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and coming to talk to us, Camrus. This has been a really beautiful conversation, and I'm very grateful for it.
Right back at you. Thanks for having me. This was really great.
Of course.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.